I think it's just the same story as a lot of people, especially in England. It's like a rite of passage. You either go to Ibiza or you go over to Thailand. These are kind of like the main 2 points when I was growing up. And then came to Thailand, traveled, enjoyed it, backpacked, the same old story, and had such a great time that when I came back to university, told all my friends and they decided to come again. And the FOMO was there and I was like, I can't let all my boys come back to Thailand, so I might go do it one more time. And I can be like a tour guide and go do it again with the boys. And then that time, I just had a good time in Thailand, and one thing led to another, pushed my flight back, pushed it back again, and then just kind of got stuck. Long story short, I actually ran out of money. So we spent more money than we thought, and then I had a flight in like 2-3 months and my money was dry. And I remember thinking there was a load of English and Australians living on Phi Phi and they were working in bars and stuff, and I thought it might be a good option. Let's head back to Phi Phi and go ask.
Welcome to the Fruiting Body Podcast with your host, Brendan. We are here in Phuket, Thailand. This is an absolute legend of a guest. Making his first appearance, Callum Platt. Now, Callum actually helped build the entire podcast studio, our first studio. This would be, this is our second studio. We're going to have our third one in Hua Hin. That's coming up. This is one of our last episodes filmed at our Laguna area, podcast studio at the Villa. So Callum was helping us pretty much build that whole studio, all the blue paint he was painting. We got images of those. Maybe that'll all pop up here and there. And that's almost 4 years ago. I checked back on the podcast, it's about 4 years ago. So the intention of the podcast today is really telling Callum's life story. I mean, he's been in Phuket for well over, I'm going to say 8 or 9 years. Time kind of blurs together in Koh Phi Phi, and then finally moving over to Phuket during the COVID times. And we'll discuss all that and what he's actually getting involved in the whole stem cell world. It's absolutely insane. So we want to share that information with you guys. But first, this is really a life story about people, leaving it all, escaping to Phuket, building a whole new life, and becoming successful at that. So let's tell that story. Without further ado, Callum Platt. First, thanks for joining us. You finally made your first appearance, episode 200 maybe.
Well, I did promise it. I said one day I'd definitely make sure I came on, and then I spoke to you last week and you said that you might be making the move out of Phuket. So I thought, right, now's the time, let's jump in.
Yeah, it's we've been trying to get you on for a while. It's hard though when you're living way down in the south. It's such a commute. I mean, you remember coming up to the studio.
I was doing it every day on the bike.
But at least it was manageable during COVID. I couldn't imagine today. That's not even possible. Let's jump right into the beginning. Let the audience know a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? But what really brought you to Thailand?
Yeah, I think it's just the same story as a lot of people, especially in England. It's like a rite of passage. You either go to Ibiza or you go over to Thailand. These are kind of like the main 2 points when I was growing up. And then came to Thailand, traveled, enjoyed it, backpacked, the same old story, and had such a great time that when I came back to university, told all my friends and they decided to come again. And the FOMO was there and I was like, I can't let all my boys come back to Thailand, so I might go do it one more time. And I can be like a tour guide and go do it again with the boys. And then that time, I just had a good time in Thailand, and one thing led to another, pushed my flight back, pushed it back again, and then just kind of got stuck.
What year was that now, is this when you finally settled at Koh Phi Phi? Was that where you first settled?
That was the first place I kind of like made a home, but that was, we'll get into that, but I think this was 2013. Yeah, 2013, I just graduated university. I came out, met the guys, did a little bit of traveling, and then long story short, I actually ran out of money. So we spent more money than we thought, and then I had a flight in like 2-3 months and my money was dry. And I remember thinking there was a load of English and Australians living on Phi Phi and they were working in bars and stuff, and I thought it might be a good option. Let's head back to Phi Phi and go ask. And we went there, first day, rocked up, spoke to a bar, and they were like, you want to work tonight? We'll give you a hotel, we'll give you some drinks, a little bit of spending money, and you can start right away. So joined a group of boys started
What
there.
year was that when you're getting settled in PP, and how old were you at the time?
So there was no plan of settling. This was just like wait until my flight. This was 2013.
This is 2013. Okay.
This is 2013. I'd been there the year 2011, but this is 2013.
So almost 12 years ago.
12 years
so
ago.
you would have been like almost 20 years old.
Yeah, 21.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
33 now.
Yeah, so you got settled in PP. You were there for a solid 8-9 years living the life, right? I mean, we initially met on PP. I was probably a complete asshole, degenerate, drunk, which in fairness, most people are coming to PP. What do you expect? Now, you're getting settled into PP. At which point did you begin to realize, like, okay, I'm going to maybe call this home?
It took a while. Yeah, there was no plans to call it home at all. It just kind of an inevitable kind of one thing after another. We started off working in bars, just having fun. I'd just graduated, so there was no kind of immediate responsibility to get back home. And it was low season, so it was raining every day, still having a blast. And then everyone just kept saying, oh, the high season's great. Blue skies for 3 months. Whole load of Swedish, Scandinavian people come, different crowd than the English. So I was thinking maybe I should stick it out for a high season. And we had such a good group of guys, and I wasn't spending a penny of my savings. We were living off what we earned. So I called my parents and said, hey, listen, I'm gonna cancel the flight. I'll be back in January, February after the high season. But then after 6 months of that, I mean, it was hard to leave. And then, things just kind of developed. But it wasn't until, remember Dennis?
Yeah.
The old Dennis. This is where I met you the first time. I was running
on the boat.
Those Shangri-La
That's got
sailing
to
boats.
2016, 17. So you
Is that late?
Yeah.
Okay, no, so...
Yeah, because I didn't arrive here till 16.
Oh, okay, so maybe that was the second time with that. But then, firstly, I met this really old cool dude. He'd sailed his boat from England in Bristol all the way to Phi Phi. And I just met him in a bar one night, and he invited me to come and help him fix his boat, repair the engines, and he'd give me some beers, and me and my boys could come on the boat, chill out in the sun. So we started doing that. It was all good fun. And then he said, listen, this is kind of how the first step into kind of living and working and kind of owning what you can call a business here. Before I was just working for bars. But he said, listen, I'm too old to get people on the boat. If you can bring people on the boat, you can sell tickets, you can organize a trip, whatever the boat makes, we can just split it down the middle. And you can sleep on the boat, and you can have a bedroom, and you can live here, and we can just wing it together. So that was my first kind of taste of, okay, let's see what we can do here. And yeah, we did well. It was called the Shangri-La. I didn't come up with the name. A group of guys were doing it with Dennis before me. Cool guys, we're still good friends today. And yeah, we would just take out like cool people every day, like 30, 35 people, sail around the islands. We had a bar on the boat, a DJ on the boat. And that was the first time I started earning money illegally in Thailand. But that was back then where, you know, the work permits and
it's all wishy-washy.
Everything was wishy-washy. I didn't know anyone back then that was legitimate.
Yeah, I mean, back then, especially on the island of PP, you're getting, and it's still probably to this day, in many islands around Thailand, people, they're coming as a tourist, and they end up staying a couple years, and they're working for the bars, they're selling boat tickets, they're working, maybe a DJ in the clubs, or just helping out in general. That lifestyle, though, at a young age, it's possible. Let's say, realistically, age, 20, 25, 26, the liver can handle it, the lifestyle. At which point did you realize, fuck, this is, it's not as easy as it was when I was younger?
It wasn't so much that. It was more like, I think when you were young, you just had so much energy, and there was no worries, there was no responsibility. But it moved quite quick to realize, I was early to realize I couldn't sustain it. So like, it was probably only the first 2-3 years, maximum, maybe the first 2 years that I was really enjoying that lifestyle. And then I so when it all really started to change for me, where I decided I'm gonna probably stay here and not go back to the UK, was in the low season. We struggled to do the boats trips and sailing charters because the weather was just so crap. And PP's small. You remember how small it is. When it's beautiful sunny days, it's quite nice. But when it's miserable and monsoon, it's miserable.
It's an off switch.
It's an off switch.
Yeah.
There's nothing to do. So me and Dennis decided with a group of other friends that maybe we should take the yacht to somewhere with some sunshine. So we sailed it from Phi Phi all the way to Bali. Bali had like kind of opposing seasons, Indo and Thailand. So we sailed it from Phi Phi. We head through to Malaysia, down through Indonesia, through the Malacca Straits, and then we sailed it all the way to Kuta in Bali, and we tried to do the yacht charters there. But after that excursion, it was about 4 months in total.
Just to get there?
No, it was about 4 weeks to get there. We hung around there, and then it took us, a few weeks to get back, and we moved around everywhere. But after that trip, it was just such an eye-opener. That the thought of going back and like grinding in UK, and I'd done a like product design degree at Leeds University, and people on my degree were really kind of like, they were struggling trying to like make their way and climb up the ladder, and I just sailed to Bali and back. I was like that. Yeah. So after that was when I was like, right, it's time to lay some roots here, and that's what kind of started developing some businesses on Phi Phi.
Yeah, you had I forget the name of the bar, and then you also had like a little restaurant across from the bar. Was that the beginning of those businesses? What was that called again?
So we started. Me and Dennis moved over to Krabi.
Yeah,
he was getting older at this point, and he didn't want 35 people on his yacht, his house, all day every day. So he moved. But we had a really good following at this point, so we opened a speedboat charter company called Shipwrecked.
That's right.
And we were doing like 70, 80 people every single day. Every day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And we'd take photos of the guests, and then we'd put them on in people's bars at night. So I'd collaborate with all my friends that had bars. And then it got to the point where we were saying, if we opened our own bar, we'd have a guaranteed turnover of people every single night, meeting before the boat and returning for the pictures. So it was a no-brainer to open our own bar. We opened our own bar. And then, long story short, ended up with the bar, a restaurant, and then a cafe that was doing kind of healthy, like gym food. Yep. Yeah, that was kind of when I was like, I need some better food, I want to be healthy, and then I opened the cafe that did that.
And all this was going pretty well right up until COVID?
Yeah, Phi Phi was cruisy. Like, it went really, really well. And to be honest, I know it's horrible to say it, but COVID was the best thing to ever happen, because it was so hard to leave somewhere where you've got, 2 of your own restaurants to choose from and eat. If you want to drink, you've got free drinks in the bar, pool table. You can jump on a boat every single day if you want to and go to one of the most beautiful national parks. I wasn't paying rent. We actually built our own house there. So it was very hard to think, go to Phuket with nothing or stay here with a lot. So when COVID came, they decided that they'd kind of quarantine the island. So it was epic for those first few months when everything was exciting and we had our own island to play with no tourists. That was refreshing. But then Thailand announced no international tourists till 2021. And due to the high turnover of tourists on Phi Phi, the rent was remarkably high. It was affordable when the island was open because it was just a conveyor belt of tourists with disposable cash, holiday money. But when that stopped, when that plug was put, you really started to feel the rent. So we paid the rent from February when it closed through to July, which was 4, 5, 6 months of very high rent with no income whatsoever. And the landlords on Phi Phi, obviously they're used to that rent coming in. So a few of them were generous and dropped it to 75%, but that was still a substantial amount of money.
But the amount of people on the island at that point, you're talking 5% left now compared to what was
Yeah. I mean, it wiped out everyone. Yeah.
And a lot of businesses, like, how did you see Phi Phi completely transform from pre-COVID to today? I mean, there's a Burger King there now. I mean.
Yeah, I mean, it's to be honest, because I still do an annual event on Phi Phi, so I had to leave Phi Phi then. That was the time when I called it. Left over to Phuket because Phuket was still open. So it was a bit of a difficult decision because it was 8, 9 years of work, and you know how it is in Thailand. I couldn't like sell my shares or sell the properties that I didn't own, so I kind of just had to leave with nothing. But yeah, now there's some nice investments gone in, some nice restaurants, some nice bars. But one thing I would say is eventually I think it will kind of lose the charm it might have had like 10 years ago. Just because there's some beautiful cafes now, beautiful restaurants, great menus, great coffee, like really nice interior design, furniture, everything, and the staff are well trained. But it was kind of charming being so kind of
rustic. That's
rustic.
not what PP was. I remember when I used to visit you, there was always a couple guest houses I would get, and they were great, like 500 baht, maybe 1,000. But after you go every other weekend, you get to know them, and it'd be like 500 baht, great guest house right at the T. You know, the one that came from your restaurant, hit there. I go into that one. I think it was 500 baht a night. The last time I went back with my girlfriend is at least a year and a half, 2 years ago. There's none of those guest houses are available. They're double or triple the price. And it's almost because like other guest houses just never came back. So there's fewer guest houses. And then the hotels that you can finally get your hands on, they're like 3,000 to 5,000 baht a night. And even those hotels are still basically guest houses. So there were so many different hotels that they just never made it back.
Yeah, I mean it is still one of the most beautiful islands, and the fact that there's the whole island is there's no roads, there's no cars, there's no bikes, so it feels like you're on one big resort. So I mean whenever I go over now, I stay in Phi Phi Princess. I think Pim's been on the pod. Yeah. So she's done a great job there. So it's a real nice hotel, bang in the middle of the island, and you get all the amazing Phi Phi and the national park and the beachfront access, but you're in a nice hotel. And
Phi Phi Princess is probably, I think it's the nicest hotel there. Yeah. They used to have they still do the Friday pool party thing. And
no, that was way before. Yeah,
that's finished.
That. Yeah,
that's
they're
where
finished.
I cracked my head off the floor.
I remember. Still got a scar.
I still got a scar here.
Yeah.
I dove in, but it had that tile that's grout in a pool. I didn't hit it hard. It just hit the grout. And I remember, and that's where they get you if you go to PP. I remember it was 5 stitches. It was 25,000 baht or 20,000 baht.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do anything. They're just well, do you want your head closed up or no? And you're like, fuck. All right, sure. Those little medical places there must make a killing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous. So you're over there, COVID hits, and now you're kind of making that decision of where to go. What was your thought process at that point?
Yeah, so it was pretty tough because, like I said, I had to. When I was leaving, I realized I was leaving with nothing, and the bars were doing well, everything was doing well, but deep down, I kind of knew it was a good thing. It was a time to kind of figure everything out. Phuket was still open, but there was no tourism, so I started to see lots of job posts online for English teaching jobs, and all they required was an English degree, which I had. So I sent my degree over to a few schools and got an interview and thought, let's go see. It's nothing I want to do long term. Let's put it that way. But it allows me to get a salary, allows me to get a place and move to Phuket and then see what's going on. So I made that jump, came over to Phuket and was an English teacher in a Phuket Thai Hua, which is a trilingual English, Thai, Chinese school in Phuket town. And I did that for 2 months and the first month was fun because it's a new place, new people to meet, figuring things out. And then immediately the second month was disgraceful.
Yeah, teaching, it's basically babysitting. I mean, it's rough.
It's babysitting, but my students were the worst class that no teacher wanted, and they were 15, 16. So it was adolescent sitting, and they were just miserable, and they would just had no interest, and I was just this is it. And that's when I got on the phone to you. I was like, Brendan, I know you live in Phuket, and I know you'd work online. Sort me out, get me a job, get me anything. I'll come and work. And that's when I came up and hung out with you for a bit.
Which is, I think, our job. Besides the drive, it was pretty easy.
It was chill. It was chill, but that drive was savage. So I had a house in Rawai, which is the southernmost point. I was on Rawai Beach, and you were at Surin Beach. So I was doing that twice a day on the bike, which was beautiful.
And this is during COVID, so there's no traffic. Beautiful. Actually, it wasn't so, but it's probably...
It was 45 minutes. Yeah. 45 minutes, an hour on the bike, and rain sometimes. Yes. So it was just a bit of a slog in the end. At
a certain point, it's it's a far drive. It's definitely a far drive. And then eventually, I think, I'm not sure the whole story. We decided to build the podcast. Everything kind of just happened so fast. I don't know if it came from boredom or what happened exactly. Talise was there. I can't remember what we were doing, but I do remember, and I have the pictures. We just started painting the room and figuring it out.
I think we both just agreed that there was no podcast. in Thailand, and you've been here long enough to meet some crazy people. I know a lot of very interesting, crazy people. And there was nowhere for people to kind of just come and talk and tell their stories. So I think we both knew. And yeah, I think it was just inevitable. And we were both watching a lot of podcasts and enjoying those kind of those podcast shows and rabbit holes. So I think it was just inevitable. And it just took a bit of crazy people to say, let's just do it.
Yeah,
start
I can't
it,
even
wing
remember.
it.
I think a little bit was, with the border. There wasn't anything to do.
No.
Like, because in Phuket, pretty much everything was kind of closed. People weren't really going out. They had curfews. So even if you went out for a drink at the beach, like, there was always the fear of the police coming. So you kind of got stuck in this, like, you had to be home at 7 or 8 o'clock at night type of mentality. And then, I don't know, this is what it is. 200 episodes later, it's still going.
This is 200.
Getting pretty close, yeah. I think I filmed like 20 this week just because of the move, just to kind of clear it out of the way. So you're working with us. After us, can you then explaining the next steps that you took? Basically, what led you into all the work that you've taken on so far?
Yeah. So after you, I worked in remote closing.
That's right.
Yeah. So I got into, it was kind of that point where I was partying a lot, drinking a lot, doing things that I maybe shouldn't. And Phuket was so fun. So many great people, great parties. So it was really easy to get stuck in that rut of just kind of like, forget your problems. Everything's going to be great. You live in the sun. You live in paradise. But a switch kind of flipped where I just realized the healthier, the fitter, the stronger, the sharper I get, the better chance I'm going to be to find my way. Because at this point, I was still kind of jumping between opportunities. I knew I wanted to be in Thailand, but I had no clear path to anything. So did you ever have it in the back of your mind that, like, what if PP gets rolling again? Was that, or is that done to you? No, it was done.
Okay.
It was done. I mean, I knew it was an easy way to make money because it's so easy to start things up there, and you can actually earn quite good money there.
You just didn't want to go back to that.
No, it was a backward step. I knew, yeah.
So at this point, I mean, and this party life, it does exist in Phuket, probably one of the better places in Thailand. I mean, you have access to Baba Beach Club, there's Pillow and Blanket, there's many different parties going on. You can easily fall down that rabbit hole. And as we know, in Thailand, there's no off switch, meaning there's no one telling you to go home at midnight like, places in Canada or the UK where bars close and whatnot. So you have that type of lifestyle. You're working for yourself. You're doing remote closing, and going back to the point you're making where you really wanted to really live that healthy lifestyle. Can you go into more detail behind that?
Yeah, so it just became, I was fortunate that my remote closing job was into American hours. So I wouldn't start jumping on the calls till probably 10 p.m. at night, till 2 a.m. around then. So I had my whole days free. So when I came to Phuket, I started a few agencies with my boy Keith. So we realized how dangerous it was to have bars and restaurants, and COVID can just wipe you out. If you're paying rent and you got brick and mortar and staff, it's a real dangerous business when you're on tourism. COVID showed us that. So we decided to open some agencies in Phuket and be middlemen. So the first one we opened was Phuket Yacht Hire. So Phuket Yacht Hire was the way that everyone come into Thailand, whether they come to Phi Phi or Phuket or wherever, they want to get out on the water and have a day seeing the national parks and snorkeling. So basically people would come to us, they would say how many people they have, how much money they're looking to spend per person, and we've done all the hard work. We know every single boat owner in the island.
So acting like a broker.
Exactly, a broker, and we just say, here's your best 3 options, pick or choose, and we take our small agency commission. So for that way, we set that up super easy, and we've still got it to this day. We still run that. And then as a kick-on, every single guest that came on the yachts with us had such a good time, and they really enjoyed the service. I mean, you're speaking to an English and an Australian that have lived here for 10 years. So the service was really good, and they said, listen, we're here for another week, or we're here for another 2 weeks, or my family are coming back. Can you guys take care of them? So we were taking care of people, customers, for a long time for free. Just like, they've been our customer, let's help them out, make sure they leave with a good taste in their mouth. But it got to a point where we said, this can be a business in itself. So then we opened an additional agency called the Thailand Butler.
Yeah.
And that basically, you come in and say, I'm here for 2 weeks, what should I do? So we just download basically, what do you like? You're here to train, you're here to get fit, healthy. These are the best gyms, these are the best restaurants, these are the best hotels, the best this. Are you here to party? Are you coming from Ibiza season? Do you want to go to all the best events? Then this is the best thing for you. And we just tailor packages for people. So that's the Butler, and then everything on the water.
And this is all still running at this moment?
All still going, yeah, today, yeah.
Okay, we'll put links down in the description and explain it a bit more at the end, but all the links will be in the description for that. This type of work, it's all customized, so it must be heavy on the administrative side of, when you have friends visiting, people contact you, you're like, oh, fuck, here we go again. And you try to help hold people's hands. Are you able to automate that a little bit, or is it still very personal to the guests coming?
Yeah, you're right. Right now it's personal. I mean, one day when it scales, it'll be more automated. But you hit the nail on the head. You've been here long enough. You get people saying, hey, my friend from work is coming to Thailand. Where should they stay? And you're like, if it's immediate family, it's fine.
I tell them not today.
Yeah, exactly. But I've been, 11, 12 years of giving people lists of places. Or I'm being Bangkok. Where's the best things to do? And I'm like.
Yeah, but half the time they don't listen.
Yeah.
You build it out and then you see their pictures. You're like, you didn't go to anywhere. You just went to every single tourist trap.
Well, this is why the Butler was born. And it just says anything you want. Come into the Butler and they'll organize it for you. So so that was that, and then that took quite little of our time, to be honest, and it meant that my days were free. So getting back to the fitness and health point, I was spending my days just trying to be healthy. And like I said, I was into the podcast and I was listening to Joe Rogan and Gary Brecker and Andrew Huberman and David Sinclair and all these people focused around longevity and health. And Phuket, or Thailand, but Phuket in particular is a really special place for health and fitness. I think you're just constantly reminded of it with all the gyms and every single person's jacked with a six-pack. I mean, back home, you don't see that as much. So it's just a really good place to kind of dial in and focus on the health side of it. And it's just addictive. I mean, once you come off the drink.
So you got into that lifestyle. Now, if I recall, you were also doing a lot of calisthenics and offering PT sessions as well. And this is kind of all building up and transitioning into some of the advisory roles you're doing for Icellaré. And we'll talk a little bit about that as well. Let's connect all those pieces together because, like you said, you cleared your gut, you cleared your mind, and everything kind of fell into place.
Yeah. Yeah, it was originally, I'll be honest, I don't know whether depression's real or anxiety's real or whatever it is. But when I lost everything on Phi Phi, it was a weird time where I was starting to get really concerned and I was getting overwhelmed. And it was like 8 years of work. I've got nothing to show for it. Do I go home? Those decisions, they're quite taxing. Like a lot of people probably experience it here when they come, the dream's there, and then the dream doesn't work out. So I just knew I'd be better to deal with those emotions, the healthier I am. So that's what really kickstarted me into it. Got into ice, got into saunas, a lot of grounding, meditation, breath work, really kind of going through that Instagram reel of those morning routines. But you know what? Not all of them work for everyone, but some of them work for you and it's worth exploring them. And then I just kind of found a way that worked for me. And I've never been a gym guy. I never liked lifting weights, pumping iron. That wasn't my thing. So just kind of hanging off bars and playing on
calisthenics.
Calisthenics, yeah. That's where I kind of enjoyed the most and kind of stuck with it to this day.
Yeah, I think that idea of, if things aren't working as planned in Thailand, we don't really all see the value of living abroad in terms of the experience you gain. Looking back at it, like, again, if someone contacts you from abroad, not only could you probably point them in the right direction of how to structure a life or a direction coming into Thailand, either one of us can probably do that in any country in the world now, because it's pretty much a copy and paste method, and some policy changes in different countries. But once you kind of live in these places of uncertainty with visas and whatnot, you can pretty much live anywhere you want. You understand at least the steps that it takes. You also have a good understanding of how long it takes and how slow things can be, and how much it's going to cost as well. I think when you're moving to these countries, you don't realize the cost of healthcare, the cost of visas, the cost of rent, plus deposit, plus living. Someone might show up with $1,000 and think let's get going. Yeah, it's not that easy. So when you went through those emotions of, am I going back? What kind of grounded you? Was it purely this ability to get in tune with your health? Were you able to capitalize on your experiences? And let's connect that all back into this advisory role, which you're involved in, which is very high level.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Well, yeah, I mean, I think when you get to a point where you've gone from people know you as one person. So I was like a party guy. I run a successful party boat company, and I ran events and parties, and I was a party guy. And then I managed to kind of, it took from COVID to about 3-4 years where I kind of got relatively good at calisthenics, and people started to recognize, oh, he's doing quite well now. He's looking better, and he can handstand or whatever. So people started asking, and that's when people said, hey, I've been friends with you for 10 years, and I see now you're doing this. I want to do it. So that's when the PT started to happen, and people started asking me to train them, which I'd never done before. But, you know, I was no professional coach, not a nutritionalist, but I just said this works for me, and it's what's been keeping me sane, really. And I think the respect just starts to build. And then I think people that are also in the health and fitness space, there's like a mutual respect when you're at a certain level of fitness. So that just started to help. And then, yeah, with the Icellaré, if you want to tie it all back, they are an amazing company. I didn't really know how amazing until I started to go up to Bangkok and learn. But they had plans to come to Phuket. And they were new because Phuket is a new place. Bangkok was their home. And they know there's a large international market here. And because I've been to Phuket for a long time and know a lot of people like yourself, I was contacted and the owner, the CEO, she's actually my girlfriend now. She contacted me through mutual friends and said, hey, listen, we're coming to Phuket. Our market is like 90% Thai, 99% Thai. But, you know, maybe you can help us, advise some of the international guests when they come through and, you know, share some of the technologies that we have. So that was kind of what led me into the role. But I believe the health and fitness lifestyle that I was portraying and that I was actively living every day allowed me to kind of fit that role quite well.
And plus, acting as a broker liaison for people visiting, you have that experience of coordinating and again, holding people's hands through the process. So working with Icellaré, again, you're able to act as that, not just advisor, but international liaison for these clients coming in, and probably not just holding their hand in the service of Icellaré, but also maybe able to provide some insight on hotels, accommodation, food, locations. It's much more holistic.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there's still, I mean, we've lived here for a long time, so we start to realize the quality here, but Thailand still has that kind of prejudice against it, like avoid the hospitals, you'll get ripped off, this and that. Like you were mentioning about the clinics in Phi Phi. But one thing I've learned in the last few years is the standard of care here, especially in the medical scene, is second to none.
Yeah, it's the medical tourism here.
It's a growing destination for that for sure. But I really realized that the quality is there here. And a lot of people, when they come, they can be a bit wary. Like it's just foreign. It's a foreign land, foreign people. So when it comes to medical and health, it's something that people are apprehensive and they're scared and they don't trust. So I've just found, it's just a way of when people are worried or people have concerns and people have health issues, letting them know the standards, the quality, the level of the physicians, the level of the care. And just guiding them, holding their hand through certain
when you go to like Bangkok Phuket Hospital, I've been in there on like a FaceTime with my mom. My ear had a weird ringing in it. I'm like, yeah, I try to guess where I am. She's like, oh, that's a nice 5-star resort. I'm like, no, this is their hospitals here.
Yeah,
like they don't realize. And what's so interesting about Thailand medical care, it's a double-edged sword. You get service immediately. You're talking, you need an ear specialist in probably the NHS or Canada. Could be on an 8-month waiting list. Here, I walked in, I think I paid 5,000 baht, waited 30 minutes, and I was in some ear specialist room doing testing in seconds. Like, it was so fast. In Canada, the UK, forget about that. And we in Canada, they'll, yeah, but healthcare is free. Yeah, but you might be dead by the time you see a doctor. So I don't know how free it actually is. The medical care service that you guys are providing, it's more around focusing heavily on stem cells. I visited the location, and let's get a little bit into that. Obviously, we're not going to be speaking too in depth, even though you know a lot about it. I probably won't be able to ask the right questions as we get too scientific. But I've been through your tours, and I thought one of the most interesting things from Icellaré was the fact of the difference of quality of stem cells. Can you explain the difference between extracting stem cells from yourself versus the Cambodian babies?
Yeah, it's a good.
I don't know if I was controversial there in that question.
No, to be honest, it's a legitimate point. But yeah, no, it's a good question. So you kind of have two different types. There's many different types of cells in your body, but we're talking about the stem cells. So the stem cells have the ability they're unprogrammed. They have the ability to differentiate into new cells, and they can proliferate, so they can expand and grow. So you can make more of them, and they can become different things. So that's why they can be used for different things. That's why they're exciting. But when you get stem cells, if you just do black and white, A, B, 1, 2, you can either get them from yourself. This is called autologous. This is from your own body. So that's white. Or black is from another source. They're allergenic. So autologous is from yourself, and allergenic is from another source. And there's many other sources. So these are two different types. But at Icellaré stands for the cell of I. That's the branding. It's the cell of I. We truly believe that you can harness your own cells to regenerate and rejuvenate. So yeah, we do autologous stem cells. So it's not necessarily, you can have very high quality allergenic stem cells as well. So that's not just about quality, but that's just about the source. And we can get a little bit more into that.
Yeah, I think we'll get into my concerns when you guys explain this was, well, again, if we're getting stem cells from this autologous source, is that correct?
Autologous is from you.
Sorry.
Allergenic.
Allergenic source.
Allo mean other, yeah.
When you're getting it from that source, and if it is babies in Cambodia, how do we not know their genetics and underlying health issues, such as maybe their family has prone to cancers or IBS or Crohn's disease or whatever that may be, and you're beginning to inject these stem cells into your body? Maybe it's for to help prevent, fixed shoulder injuries, knee injuries, whatnot, compared to using your own, where your DNA, your genetic makeup, your background, your family's background. I mean, isn't that a very high risk, injecting stem cells from a source unknown?
It depends. I mean, it's still, what we can say safely is if it's a foreign DNA, so if it's not your own DNA, what we can say quite comfortably is that there's always a risk, right? Some places have very good quality control, and they will HLA match and try and make sure they're genetically compatible with your DNA. And some people, they're in a very difficult situation where they don't have the time. Because if we get into stem cells from your own body, which we do, there is a challenge on the time frame. So it takes the scientists around 6 weeks to get the cells out, to isolate the cells, to cultivate and expand the cells until they're at a quantity where they're going to actually help you. And then there's a quality control, which is very strict, which is another 2 weeks. So you've got a lead time of around 6 weeks. Some people don't have that. So some people don't have the luxury of having to use their own cells. So they will go for allergenic because it's an immediate response to attack their problem. So sometimes it can be used, but what you can say is, if it is foreign, it's a risk reward. If you're going to die and you can't wait, then it's definitely worth taking that risk of a possible immune response or even a disease transmission, because it might not be as fatal as what you're going through. But what we kind of believe in, and that's why we only do the autologous, is if you're not literally on death's door and you can have a 6 week wait, there's no compatibility risk if it's your own.
And also
DNA.
You have the ability to freeze those stem cells to use at a later time as well. Can you explain, you get a new client, a customer coming in, and they just want to understand the process of extracting your own stem cells. How does that work exactly?
Yeah, great question. So we actually have, it's the mesenchymal stem cell, MSCs. These are the stem cells that have the ability to regenerate tissue. So you've probably heard a lot of it about joint rejuvenation, because if it's soft tissue or cartilage or bone, it can regenerate these tissues. So unless it's an alignment issue in the joint, which is causing the pain, and it's soft tissue, and unless it's a really, really severe, like complete tear, then most of the time you can prevent surgery if you use the good quality stem cells. So that's why it's very, very, very promising and popular for joint rejuvenation. But those tissues are actually all over the body. So we actually do a lot of neurological damage work. So people with Parkinson's, people with Alzheimer's, people with dementia, when you take these systematic stem cells intravenously, it can help rejuvenate the brain as well. So that's one area is the tissue regeneration, and then another area is the anti-inflammatory, and then the autoimmune, so the immunomodularity. So it can also balance the immune system, which helps with autoimmunes. So when a patient comes in, it would depend on the patient, but there's 3 areas we can collect. And the one that we specialize in, which is quite rare, is the bone marrow aspiration. So from bone marrow. Now, a lot of people, when you hear bone marrow, you think it's painful. You think of a spinal cord collection, and you've seen videos or heard things, but it's actually not the same. We collect it from the hip bone. We collect it from the hip bone here.
Yep.
So all that happens is a small bit of numbing cream, very thin needle, gets pushed through the hip bone after some local anesthetic. So the only thing you'll feel is a small bit of local anesthetic, and then the hematologist will harvest around 30 ml of the bone marrow. And it's pain-free, it's scar-free, it takes like 15 minutes. The reason why we do it is a lot of our patients aren't always the young, fit, professional fighters with joints. A lot of them are older, and they're very poorly. They're 80, 90 years old with Alzheimer's and dementia. So the bone marrow is appealing because it takes 10 minutes and it's pain-free, scar-free. Whereas the other potential way of collecting the stem cells is from the adipose tissue, which is your fat.
Your belly fat.
Fat. Now, this sucks.
I heard it's extremely painful.
It's liposuction. So our scientists love it because stem cells from fat, they actually grow faster. Their proliferation rate is quicker. So the scientists have an easier job growing it, but the patients are in a lot more discomfort. It takes like a week to heal because it's a small wound. You have to clean it every day. However, there is also the 2 birds, 1 stone. Some people who are overweight may say, whilst you're in there, whilst you're collecting, take a little bit more out.
Oh, so you can offer like liposuction as well?
Yeah. During that process, we can remove a little bit more, but 90% of our patients will go for the bone marrow.
Sign me up. I'll 2 for 1.
Yeah. You might need
No,
it.
I've been okay. I've been running a lot. I've lost I didn't lose a lot of weight, but I've I've been running like 9K twice a week.
That's good.
I've been training with Adam Earnshaw.
Oh yeah, he's a beast.
Oh
yeah.
So he's just like, he's like, yeah, we do some. I'll do private HIIT classes with him at Bangtao.
And what about the mushrooms? You taking cordyceps?
I take cordyceps. I take yohambin and L-carnitine.
Carnitine,
Yeah, all this. It just helps with the breathing, but I mean, at his level, like, trying to keep up is almost impossible. So
no, it's good. It's a good standard. It's a good standard.
I've been doing it about 2 months. This extraction process, you're getting clients that come in. Now you're saying that through the fat, it takes a little bit longer faster.
Yeah.
But obviously the pain's higher. How long is the whole process? I come in, I want stem cells, I want them extracted, I want them injected. How long is that going to take?
A minimum of 6 weeks.
Okay, so does this become a concern for medical tourists, because maybe 6 weeks, most people aren't here for 6 weeks?
Yeah, correct. So there's 2 options. Most people don't stay for 6 weeks. It's only the people that live here, really.
Yeah.
But the way it works is you have 2 visits. So you fly in. You can fly in the night before. The next day you'll collect 15 minutes and you can go and play golf, go to the gym, you can swim. You can also jump on a plane and fly home. So a lot of our patients fly in, they harvest, and then they fly out. And then the scientists get to work. So what's special about the Icellaré company is everything's on site. So the collection room is a clean room on site. It goes straight through to the ISO grade, ISO 7 laboratory, which is a super high level CTRM, cellular therapy, regenerative medicine laboratory. Goes straight into there, and then the scientists that work manually, they have to isolate the mesenchymal stem cell from the collection sample. That takes like a week to make sure everything passes the quality control. And then it goes into a cultivation period. So they have to grow it and expand it, because obviously the amount of stem cells you've got right now aren't fixing that knee, or aren't helping the degeneration in the brain or the immune disease. Yep. So they need to grow that. So that takes 4 weeks to grow. Once it's grown to the desired quantity that the physician has recommended, the expert in their area of treatment has recommended, it goes into a really strict quality control. This takes another 12 days. The laboratory's following standards from the UK NICUS guidelines. It's a Oxford, United Kingdom hematology lab. So the quality control is very strict. There's third-party testing. There's next-generational sequencing. So all these steps go in to make sure before those stem cells are approved, the viability's there, and they're checked for anything that could cause harm. And then they go into the cryo storage, so they're preserved and frozen on site. And the good thing about having the cryo preservation on site is it's frozen fresh. So you don't need to add preservatives, you don't need to add antibiotics, you don't need to add all these things to maintain a shelf life. It's like freezing fresh orange juice, or go to 7-Eleven and you get the orange full of preservatives and additives so it can sit on a shelf and fly across the world and blah, blah, blah. So when you talk about quality, these are the main things. It's the quality of physicians that are doing the work. It's are they a hematologist to collect the blood? Is it an expert for your area of treatment? Is it an orthopedic that's doing the knee? And then the quality of the lab, the quality of equipment, the quality of the scientists, the quality of the food that's used to grow the stem cells. When you grow stem cells, you have to feed them like a baby. And there's many different grades. The top grade is a xeno-free culture, which is no animal product. So this is what we use, but a lot of clinics, I'm sure, aren't using the most expensive food, because no one really asks these questions, right? It's often from animal blood and blah, blah, blah. So these are some of the things. And then preservatives and additives. If you can buy these and they can be shipped across the world, there's a chances are they've had preservatives, they've had antibiotics put in them, which is also going to be inherently brought into your body. So yeah, it's basically, these are the quality control checks that are important.
And at that point, once it's been frozen, and let's say, for example, you're coming back to Phuket, Thailand to begin the procedure, it could be a meniscus tear on, like, I'm just relating that to what I've had before.
Yep.
And I've been given the option of do nothing and become super fat, do PRP or do stem cells. The doctor at that time said it wasn't too bad, so PRP is okay.
And
but he said,
how is it now?
Amazing. I actually might do it on the other one just for the hell of it.
Yeah.
He said, but if they can tell, they do some testing, like he's an orthopedic doctor, Dr. John Gibbons. And he basically said, like, if it's too severe, you have to do stem cells. I had a very, like, slight tear where it's not through the meniscus. It's the posterior lateral, but it's not right through it. But he's like, some people will have it's a straight tear. He said and they can tell right away, even with that an MRI. He said if it's a straight tear, you're better off doing stem cells. So going back to the question, they do the initial process, getting the stem cells extracted, grown, frozen. Yeah. They leave, they go back to the UK. They want to come back to Thailand to begin that process, let's say specifically for the meniscus on the knee. How long does that take? Is it many sessions? What can we expect?
Yeah, so you fly in, you collect, you fly out. That's one option. And then you're monitored and updated weekly on the process of your cell culture. So every week it's going to be, hey, plus a report, your cells are now at 10 million cells. Your cells are now at 15 million cells. Okay, bingo, your cells have reached their target of 30 million cells. They are now into quality control. So this is over that period. And then as soon as they're ready, we update and say your cells are now ready for treatment. So the good thing about having the cryopreservation is that patient is flexible now. He can come back as soon as they're ready on the Monday of week 6, or he can say, life's got busy, my wife's just got pregnant, I have to move house, and there's flexibility there. He can say, I won't be back for 6 months, or I won't be back for a year. It doesn't matter, the cells are preserved. And as soon as he's ready to come back, he just calls us up. Once he's made sure he's in the country, we can start to thaw the stem cells out and get them ready for treatment. But the interesting thing is, once they come out of cryo, they only have a 4-hour viability. So it's really tight. So we make sure that they're in Phuket, they're checked into their hotel, and then the scientists will take their stem cells out ready for their treatment.
Yeah, they're not at a hotel in Laguna stuck in traffic on the way,
Exactly.
they might miss it.
Exactly.
And then is it multiple sessions, or like, again, let's use a slight meniscus tear as an example to keep it simple. They're coming in for these injections. Is it one time, multiple times?
Yeah, so it all depends patient to patient and the severity of the injury. But normally for ligament tendons, these kind of tears, it would be one session, and it would probably be a total of 20 million cells or 30 million cells, depending on the severity, and it would be 1 or 2 injections performed by the expert orthopedic on site. Yeah.
What is the size? Do you know the size of the gauge of the needle? Or is it is it a big old thick needle?
Well, it depends if it's intra-articular or they're not scary. Yeah.
Maybe these big.
But we do a lot. It also depends on the patient. We've had patients that are extremely overweight, and we have patients that are.
What is the public consensus on general recovery time for these? Like, it could be a shoulder tear or a meniscus tear where you're required stem cells. What's the difference of recovery, let's say, between surgery versus stem cells based on the severity? Maybe you can give a specific case example.
Yeah. So it would have to be specific, but it all depends on patient to patient and the lifestyle they're doing and the rehabilitation that they end up doing. But stem cells, I mean, immediately the cells go in, you'll notice anti-inflammatory and pain reduction quite immediately. And then the cells get to work, and the first week they're isolating the problem and attacking that problem. But then it's going to be a course of over the next 2 months, 2 to 4 months, you'll start to see the full recovery, and then the long-lasting effects are from 4 to 6 months onwards. But we've had patients that have not been able to walk. We've had professional tennis players that can't get on the courts, and 2 months later, they're putting 4-hour sessions in on the tennis court, pain-free.
Now, this isn't completely legal in the UK and the US, but this is completely legal in Thailand. There's no issues with stem cell injections?
So, yeah, it's a gray area right now. So there's currently laws being written for the standard of cell therapy in Thailand. It's at the moment, it's ongoing. But one thing that we have that a lot of people don't is we're using your own cells. So
yeah, Joe Rogan talks a lot about it, and he's sending people mostly seems down to almost, I believe it's Panama. This is what I could be wrong, but I believe it's Panama. And by the sound of it, it is different, because everyone that's been on his podcast, like, yeah, Joe, thanks for the doctor. I went down to Panama, I did the injections and came back. But then that makes me believe that they're not using their own stem cells, because how could you do it that quick? Would that be right to assume?
Often, yeah. There is some autologous clinics in the world, but it's a lot harder. I mean, think about it. You open a business, you buy some quality approved with some certification stem cells online, you put them in storage. When people come in, you can inject them that day and they can fly home. It's a lot easier for business. It's a lot easier to scale. It's good for money. But for us, if you think about it, it's a lot harder. People come in, we have to review orthopedics, have to review their MRIs, for example, or do a full health checkup if it's a neurological condition. You need an expert physician that can collect the stem cells safely, appropriately, and they have to be in an environment, because as soon as those stem cells come out the body, they recognize they're not in 37 degrees. They have to go straight into an official incubator. They have to be isolated manually by a group of scientists. They have to be cultivated for 4 weeks. So it's a lot harder. So it's not necessarily good for business to do autologous.
And it's probably more ethical as well in that sense. Like,
yeah.
I think that's probably why the industry could be painted a shade of gray, in the sense of, if you're using children's umbilical cords or embryos, where are these actually being harvested from? I mean, any hospital in Panama can tell you whatever you want to hear, but what's the truth?
Well, yeah, so when you talk about the legality, it was actually back in the 70s. They started just understanding the amazing benefits of stem cells, and they were finding it from embryos back then, embryonic stem cells. And they were getting them as well as aborted fetuses and stuff like that. And in the 70s, they defunded all stem cell research, because there was a big abortion things going on, and the Christianity laws and everything. So that put a big black cloud over stem cell research in the West, particularly. Whereas Japan, China, Thailand, they weren't affected by that. And then I don't think it was until 2004, I think Ronald Reagan died of Alzheimer's. And his wife was a big believer in the stem cell research and the benefits for neurological repair through the tissue regeneration. So that's lifted a lot of these kind of laws. And they started developing in the private sector, some private funded. That's kind of why the West is kind of behind in cell therapy. Because, they defunded it because of originally it started from embryos. And then there was a president died from Alzheimer's, and that started the funding back up. But for that reason, that's why the West is a bit behind and a bit slow. But also, without getting into things too much, for example, knee and hip replacements are a big business, and stem cells will, cut that bottom line a lot and prevent those from happening. Also, medications, for neurological and autoimmune and stuff are also big business. Where stem cells can help a lot. So maybe it's not in the best interest of some of these countries.
Well, I think a lot of people, that generation, let's say, is getting a bit older, and they are coming from smart money. The baby boomers are retiring, and they're starting to realize, they're going to look after number one. And if they start to realize stem cells are more beneficial, all right, let's make it legal. It's good for us now. It might have not been good for them back then.
Yeah.
Also, these other services that you are offering at Icellaré, specifically the ability to, and you can explain this a little bit more in detail. Is it like, I don't want to say synthetic, what's the word I'm looking, like to get pregnant essentially? Like you're extracting eggs and then you're artificially inseminating and putting it back.
So Icellaré's a lifespan center.
Okay.
So it has a few different divisions. Has a wellness division with a blood work lab, genetics lab, so we can do precision medicine, find people's deficiencies and then supplement for those deficiencies, find the root cause. We have the cellular therapy, which is not just stem cells. We also have immune cell therapy, natural killer cells, which is great for cancer if we want to talk about that. Cancer prevention and stuff. And then we also have the Fertility Center. So Fertility is we do IVF, and ICSI, which is a new form of IVF. So this is just people that can't have their own kids. Whether the men's sperm's not maturing, the woman's eggs aren't a good quality, maybe they've had a few miscarriages already and the lining of the uterus is too thin to bring a baby to term. Just people that are struggling to have children. We're a full service IVF, so you can just come in and do a fertility check, check how the swimmers are doing, see if everything's okay, see if the lifestyle took its toll. That's one thing, and then obviously we can do the egg freezing. So a lot of women now, they're crushing it in their careers, or maybe they haven't found love and they're hitting 30 and they start to feel their clock ticking. It's becoming more popular to say, hey, while my eggs are young and healthy, let's freeze the eggs, and let's go smash work, smash life, go travel, do whatever, and wait until
you're actually doing the artificial insemination, and then you're putting the egg back into the...
Correct, yeah.
The whole process?
The whole process is done on site, yeah. So the women come in, they'll see a gynecologist, they'll do an ultrasound and check how many eggs, see if they're healthy. If they're not, we can supplement them. And the good thing is we have the wellness center there. So a lot of people, when they go in, the eggs aren't healthy, they'll just get pumped full of hormones. But a lot of times we'll say, hey, listen, let's just do some blood tests. Let's see what you are genetically born with. And maybe there's a root cause problem. Maybe it's just a vitamin or a mineral deficiency. Maybe you're low in this. Let's supplement with this. Let's give you some antioxidant intravenous medication. And then let's see where you're at on your next cycle. And a lot of times we've had very, very positive results where the egg quality improves. Sperm quality improves, and then we will harvest the eggs. And what we specialize in is the same way we use the next generational sequencing for the stem cells to make sure there's no abnormalities and make sure the stem cells are safe down to the molecular level. We'll also do that with embryos. So I think to date we've done over 120,000 embryos with a advanced screening called PGT. So before the embryo, so you get the egg, you get the sperm, and then the embryologist chooses the best possible sperm, the strongest sperm. It's like a sperm Olympics. And then they will manually put the strongest sperm with the strongest egg. Once that's been monitored for the first few days and it's going as planned, then they will screen that embryo for any abnormalities. So back in the day, you couldn't do this, but we will check this embryo for any imperfections, like even
Down syndrome.
Down syndrome. Yeah.
Are you able to modify like hair color, eye color at that level, or is that?
We don't, but it is possible. You can do designer babies, which is popular in certain countries where they choose gender and choose eyes and stuff, but we don't do that. But one thing we will do is the embryos have a very strict quality control where they are judged based on their appearance, and it gets quite in depth, but based on that, then you will have, let's say, 7 healthy embryos, and there'll always be a healthiest embryo.
How is that process? Is it quite pain-free? How long does it take?
Yeah, pain-free. I mean, it's virtually pain-free. The egg harvesting is just an hour in the morning, normally when the women's come in, and then the transfer is pain-free.
The sperm side sounds pretty pain-free.
Yeah, yeah. But what's really interesting now is the cell therapy, right? It has a chance to kick back certain things. So we have the fertility and the cell therapy. So I truly believe it's probably the only facility in the world that has this on site. So we have had patients where their sperm's not maturing, and we've collected their stem cells from their bone marrow, grown their stem cells, and then we can inject the stem cells directly into the testes to allow the sperm to mature. We've also had women that have struggled to produce healthy eggs, and we can also inject the ovaries with the stem cells and help the ovaries, boost up the ovarian reserve and produce healthier eggs again to bring babies to term. So that collaboration's really exciting.
And like you're saying, if it is a vitamin deficiency, mineral deficiency, you're able to naturally analyzing the blood work and naturally give proper supplements. I've heard a lot of horror stories where they do pump the women full of hormones, but that can cause a nightmare back at the home, because now the women are pumped maybe with more testosterone or estrogen. Everything can become a little out of whack, and everyone knows when your hormones are out of whack, we're all not mentally stable.
Yeah, it's the same with the fitness community. Like a lot of times the testosterone levels are low just from a deficiency. It could be a deficiency in like DHEAs or something like that, which is causing the test to drop. So before you pump yourself full of testosterone and get on the testosterone replacement therapy, maybe look at analyzing the
sure.
Yeah, exactly, because there's great benefits to hormone replacement therapy if you need it, but a lot of people are doing it premature, and then this can cause a lot of side effects down the line. Like for example, myself, I felt fit, felt healthy. I started to do some analysis. I found out my iron levels were dangerously low, which is uncommon for someone that eats the diet that I eat, a lot of red meat and blah, blah, blah. So we did a bit more digging and found out I was a genetic deficiency. I was born with a genotype of a gene called the TMPRSS6 gene, which means I cannot absorb iron orally. No matter how much red meat I eat, liver, anything, I cannot get it. So that's one thing that, unless I discovered, my whole system and everything's out of whack because I'm kind of anemic without realizing it. And no matter how much I eat, how many supplements I take, I cannot absorb it. But now I found out all I have to do is take iron intravenously, and then my iron levels are safe. My heart is now happy. It's not overheating. It's not working without the energy. And I'm probably going to save myself from an early heart attack. And then there's other ways, like there's a common B vitamin deficiency, which is a gene called the MTHFR gene. I saw this on Gary Brecker. Have you seen Gary Brecker? He was with Grant Cardone, 10X Health. He kept talking about this methylation test for anxiety and depression. I thought, that's cool, let me test it. Turns out I have it. And then I've tested probably 25 of my close friends, and I think around 14 people have had it. So it's really common. You should come in and get it tested yourself. But basically, what it's known as is it's the cardiovascular hypertension, high blood pressure. But really what it is just a deficiency. So the reason the blood pressure goes high is if you have this gene mutation, the MTHFR gene mutation, you cannot absorb the B vitamins you need. So B12, B6, B9, you cannot absorb them. And their role, they've got lots of roles, but one of them is cleaning out a waste product called homocysteine in the body. And homocysteine needs to be cleaned out because otherwise it like scratches and irritates the arteries, and that causes inflammation, and our system's a closed system. Pressure gets tighter, blood pressure goes up, heart attack, heart problems happen. So it's not actually a gene that causes the heart if you supplement correctly. So now all I have to do is take the right B vitamins, which I can take on iHerb or Amazon. It's a methylated form, a methylfolate. Take that, and now I won't have high blood pressure, I won't have hypertension, because the homocysteine levels are going to be safe. All from just finding it
It's the process
taking
on
it.
extraction they use, this methylfolate extraction based on vitamin B.
Yeah, exactly. So just learning a little bit more about what's going on. You find these deficiencies early. All you need is a little B vitamin or iron intravenous, and it can prevent all these major problems down the line.
Yeah, I've shared that story before, I think, on the podcast, because you told me that and it blew my mind, because it's very interesting to see a vitamin deficiency or a mineral deficiency, but you can't see a genetic deficiency or an issue.
Right.
Meaning, like, okay, why is my iron out of whack? Okay, take more iron. Why is it still out of whack? Okay, now you have to go to the next level.
Yeah.
And if you don't understand your genetics completely, you might not even know how to fix those vitamin or mineral deficiencies.
Well, now what's nice is we have ChatGPT, and like I'm so grateful to be in the position that I'm in, that I have really amazing doctors there, that anything I have, I can ask them questions. But if you run the results through ChatGPT and then you ask the best doctors in the country, it's the same. A lot of the times it's the same answer. It's very accurate. So you can do these gene tests everywhere. We have one at Icellaré, but they have them in different places, and just learning more about what you were born with is important.
If we're going through all the services that you're providing, I'm sure everything is customized based on the individual. Are we able to share some cost estimations just to give some people an idea of what this would actually cost coming into? So if we kind of rapid fire went through it all, estimating the cost, and I'll kind of let you can just take it, going through the fertility clinic to stem cells to genetic testing to testing your blood, testing your blood work, all the services you provided, and just some very basic cost estimations on that.
Yeah, so you can come in and speak to a doctor for like 1,500 baht, and you can just dump all your problems, and then she'll say, okay, maybe let's start here. So that's one way. Or, for example, I saw something off a podcast that I wanted to do, that MTFHR test, and that's 3,000 baht for a gene test.
That specific test.
That specific test. If you want to do a full comprehensive like blood panel, which is hormones, blood, electrolytes, organs, this kind of thing, we design packages based on like profiles. Like if you're a young, fit, healthy gym goer, you don't really need the same blood panel as a 70-year-old, right? So we've designed these, and these are at around 12 to 15,000 baht. If you want to go deeper onto genetics, we have really, whole exome sequencing, where we'll test your whole exome, and we've designed panels for inherited cancers, inherited diseases, and then wellness panels. So the one I'm talking about, I did a wellness panel, which is designed everything to do with nutrigenomics, so vitamins and minerals, heart health, brain health, stress, anxiety, and fitness and performance. So I actually found out I'm genetically predisposed to high performing endurance and muscle. So I'm genetically gifted with the fitness. That's why I took to it so quick. So some people, you can actually learn these stuff. These are around 25,000 baht. But these are a test. When it comes to genetics, you'll only ever do it once in your life.
Yeah, once you know, you know.
Yeah.
And this information, it can really, again, assist you on making those decisions on your supplements.
Yeah.
I did my blood work a year ago. And it's interesting because when you're younger, you look at supplements in one way and like, well, there's DHEA, there's vitamin B, there's zinc, magnesium. They're all great. I need them all. But what I didn't realize is why are you supplementing if you're at a base level? And quickly I found out I've been supplementing DHEA. So I already had great DHEA levels, but I was supplementing it so it was too high. Therefore, I'm producing more estrogen. So therefore, I was getting tons of water retention. And I'm like, why do I have so much water retention? And I did the blood work, and they're like, your DHEA levels are through the roof. They're like, what are you taking? I'm like, DHEA? They're like, yeah, just stop. I literally stopped. Water retention went down. Base level came back. And it's an interesting story. So when you're buying supplements online, unless they're for me, buy everything because you need them all. But in general, like, you don't need to supplement everything.
Yeah, exactly. And when you supplement for those deficiencies, it's when, you can really see some results. A lot of time they're great supplements, but not everyone needs all of them. You should just check first. And then the cell therapy is a bit more expensive. But when you're talking about what it can prevent you from doing.
Everyone is pretty aware of that. Like stem cell, I'm assuming it's getting well over 40,000-50,000 baht at least.
Yeah, so to start with like a knee or a joint, it all depends on the patient, but you probably need 20 million cells to repair and rejuvenate a joint, whether it's a knee, a shoulder, whether it's a slip disc or a degenerative disc disease. This is around 20 million, so you can start doing stem cells at around 300,000 baht.
That's about 300,000 baht.
But that includes the collection, the cultivation, the treatment with the expert orthopedics, and then saving those stem cells for future use. There'll be some saved in the bank.
Yeah, and the surgery in Thailand's probably even close to that as well. And
to be honest, we've actually had a lot of people that have been given surgery invoices, and their insurance is happy to cover it. And it's 400, 500,000 baht, and then stem cells are nearly half the price, and the insurance won't cover it. Yeah.
Well, I guess they're all connected at the hospital's hip. In terms of the fertility, and that's so again, you're having a tear in the shoulder, a tear in the knee, maybe something, nothing too severe. You're looking around about close to 10 grand US.
Yeah.
But most of the people that are flying in, that's probably within their budget anyways. And especially if they are looking to avoid surgery, possibly at a later stage in your life, over 70 years old, you might not want to be going under the knife anyways.
It's not just over 70. To be honest, a lot of the joint injuries, if it's osteoarthritis and joint degeneration, these are just, a lot of times they're older. But the younger with trauma, with ligament tears and stuff like that, it's normally fit young people that are going to the gym. Maybe they compete in MMA or they're athletes. These guys don't want surgery if they don't have to. There's a long downtime, and also you can never guarantee full range of motion back, and it's a risk on your career. So especially when it comes to like C-spine or anything on the spine, the surgery, no one is happy with spine surgery results. And
is there anything out there, or let's say MMA fighters, Muay Thai fighters, boxers, anyone in martial arts approaching you guys with maybe early onset CTE or brain damage and going through this process to either prevent it or treat it?
Yeah, so it's a great question. We've actually been speaking to quite a few athletes. So it starts early, and any kind of trauma, even heavy sparring, can be quite damaging later on.
Even football the headers.
Even I've heard recently that people that are professional jet ski, they ride jet skis. It's just those constant bumps up and down, and that's not even contact on the head. So, yeah, it is. And we have a few different treatments. We also have a neuropeptide treatment, which is really cheap and affordable, and this has been widely studied for TBI, traumatic brain injury, and this can really help, especially if it's done quickly. But then stem cells for traumatic brain injury becomes more expensive because you need to take it intravenously. So it's a larger quantity. But it's really promising. And the same way the stem cells can rejuvenate neurological damage that causes Parkinson's or Alzheimer's or dementia, it has a lot of promise for these CTE. But
have you had fighters come in like post-career? Maybe they're like, hey, I want to test out stem cells for the brain? Because again, this is still so new that maybe a lot of these fighters are not even at that stage yet to approach.
Yeah, I think it's an early stage for these new fighters because they're all still competing. But as the research comes out, I think it will become more and more popular.
Yeah, because even things like mushrooms for lion's mane, this is not going to fix that. I mean, it's going to stimulate the brain, and it's great for memory and nerve growth factor. But at a certain point, there is a big difference between lion's mane and stem cells for the brain.
Yeah, but this is where it comes that all these healthy habits, as soon as you can start, is better. Like, the good thing about here is they fully understand that lifestyle habits are extremely important at slowing down the rate in which you age. These natural supplements, like the mushroom supplements, there's actually some amazing studies. I think I sent it to you about the benefit of stem cells combined with lion's mane and cordyceps to help post. So it's emerging now, and these natural supplements that help with neurogenesis is it's really exciting.
What about in terms of prevention? Because I would assume prevention is probably the better path to follow. I mean, don't go break your leg and say, how do I deal with this? You might want to, how do we make those bones stronger? What can people do specifically, maybe working with you guys, where they could prevent these neurodegenerative diseases? You were talking about a peptide?
So there's many ways. Like, originally you can start by supplementing for a deficiency. That will help long term. Then there's kind of lower level, kind of like minor league, which is peptide therapy. There's one that's been studied called cerebrolysin, which is a neuropeptide, and it's been studied for Alzheimer's, dementia, and also traumatic brain injuries. And this has a lot of promise. for traumatic brain
So taking this
injuries.
kind of as a maintenance injection, would that just be like an insulin needle similar to like a BPC 157?
I think you can take it like that, but we only provide it as intravenous. And they recommend, based on their studies, that a 50 ml course separated into 5 times 10 ml IVs, so 5 separate IVs. And you can do that maybe once to 3 times per year, depending on the trauma that you've had. But it's also gaining hype in like the biohacking space for removing brain fog and focus and stuff like that. So these are kind of like lower level. And then obviously the stem cell IV is a systematic full body rejuvenation, which targets
used as like a prevention method as well.
So you can use it to fix things, but it's becoming popular with anti-aging. So we now have, I mean, since 2018, we've done over 30 billion cells. And we have data now on telomere lengths, which is it's kind of a way to judge. Do you know about telomeres?
No.
Okay, so on the end of our chromosomes, we have these caps. These are called telomeres. And based on your chronological age, how old are you now?
39.
All right, so 39, we can check your telomere lengths, and we'll be able to give a rough estimate on how well you're living your life and if you've kind of pushed past that 39 already or you're kind of under, based on the length. And what we can do is, if that's got very short, you might be actually running at about 50 years old instead of 39. So from the stem cell IV, we can then monitor the telomeres. We can also measure the growth hormone markers, and we can see telomere lengths increasing up to 7 years from one systemic IV. And we can also see the growth hormone increasing, which is an accurate way. I mean, we all get smaller when we get older, and high growth hormone, high telomeres is a really good indication that they're helping people.
Have you done it on yourself?
Not the systemic. It's quite expensive.
What are we talking? A couple hundred, 300?
So it depends on your weight. It'll go on a body weight. So I'm like 80 kilos, so it would be 80 million cells, which would be close to 1 million baht.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know there's some clinics in Bangkok where they're almost like country clubs where some people are going in there and spending $1 million US per year. Just to get it. There's some like crazy clinics up there as well.
Well, we have patients that are very old and they're very unwell. They have stage 4 dementia, they have Parkinson's, and they have no quality of life, but they've been successful and they've had businesses, and now they've had to step down, and they have, And
they're going through you with treatment. Do you see they're seeing results? Because these diseases, Parkinson, dementia, Alzheimer's, they are very degenerative and fast acting.
Yeah, so this is actually, it's nice that you brought it up. So the main reason I got involved with this company was because the first time I went to Bangkok to see what they were doing before the Phuket branch was open, there was a patient, he's 84, stage 4 dementia, forgotten most of the family, couldn't run his business anymore, but quite a wealthy individual, and he liked speaking English. So they said, can you go in there and just ask him questions and just keep a track of how it is? And he comes in every few months for the IV. And every few, not even minutes, like every sentence, he'd revert back to the same start of the story, and it was just monotonous. It was constant. And then over the course of 2 years, I got to watch that dementia virtually disappear. And he still went back to factory settings and touched on it, but instead of it being every single 20 seconds, it was about once or twice in the 2-hour window. And he'd talk about everything, remember everything. So when I got to see that really opened my eyes. Because in England, where I'm from, dementia, Parkinson's, you just hope it's not aggressive. My grandfather passed to Parkinson's, and it was pretty sad. You just watch them deteriorate.
Yeah, it goes fast.
So when I saw that, and then also his wife is actually a patient as well, and she had Parkinson's, and she was in bed all day, tremors quite severe, couldn't go to the restroom, couldn't eat, had helpers. And she now is in a wheelchair. This is 2 years later. She's in a wheelchair now. She has an iPad. She plans parties. She can eat fruit by herself. So she's restored a major amount of quality of life. She plans parties. She spends time with the grandkids. So it can reverse. It can't cure.
So are they that type of treatment? It's $1 million baht per session or per year almost.
So it doesn't. The way it's the quantity you grow is the price. So it kind of, let's just say it's like a bar tab or a hotel room tab where you can say put $5,000 behind the bar, and then you work through that $5,000 through your treatments. So you would grow a larger quantity, and then you would manually kind of work your way through, and then someone will say, hey, you're nearly out, and then they can regrow like this.
And they're taking your stem cells, growing them, and using that for this
We only do your own stem cells. Yeah.
Interesting. Wow.
Same with the immune cells. So if you've got time, we can touch on it, because stem cells, everyone goes there. But what's really interesting for me is cancer, right? I didn't know this was true until I started to speak to our oncologists and learn about it. And this is what blew my mind. So cancer, we've all been affected by it. It's been in my family. I'm sure it's been in yours.
Yep.
But the way to test cancer is if you find a lump, or you do a mammogram, or you do a CT or an MRI, and you'll find out if there's a physical growth of cancer. And if there isn't, you're cancer free. If you are, maybe it's stage 1, stage 2, stage 4. That stage 1 is not actually stage 1. That's quite advanced, because it's formed a physical growth that's cancerous. So what we can do now is we can do a whole exome sequencing analysis. So we can collect your blood, and we can test both the germline cancers, which have come down through your family, or we can test the somatic cancers, which are brought on from lifestyle, whether it's pollution or processed food or glyphosate or whatever you want to, rabbit hole you want to go down on, mRNA vaccines.
And podcast shutdown.
So we can test that. And if we're talking about on a cellular level, that first ever stage, it's not stage 1 cancer, that cell will mutate, which means it's like the train has left the station and the destination is cancer, but it's left the station. It can't go backwards. It's gone. And that's a first stage mutation. We can pick them up. After that, it'll go to another stage, which is further. Even all these stages are not even precancerous yet. It'll get precancerous, and then when there's many of these kind of precancerous cells, they start talking to each other, they start teaming up, and eventually they'll form a cancerous physical thing that can be picked up by an imaging scan in a hospital. So it starts a lot earlier than that. So we can do these somatic and germline cancer tests, find these molecular cellular mutations at the earliest stage. And if we find them, then we can boost your immune system to prevent them from growing into cancer. So you can actually get ahead of cancer. You can theoretically say you cure cancer. If you get one of these tests early, you find out that you don't have cancer or maybe a few mutations, then you boost up your immune system, you can prevent them from developing into cancer, and you can always stay one step ahead. So when I learned this, it just blew my mind.
Are you doing a blood test? And
blood test.
And then it's treated through natural supplementation?
No, well, kind of, but it's another cell therapy. So this isn't stem cells. Stem cells won't help the immune system in this way. What we'll do is we'll take out your natural killer cells. Same way, we won't take it from bone marrow, we'll take it from blood. We'll take out the natural killer cells, but then the lab team will grow, cultivate, expand your NK cells, and then you'll have NK cell therapy, which will boost those immune system. Yep. And it's like taking your army out, doubling the army, training the army, making them super fit, making them like super soldiers, and then putting them back in. And
the white cells are going to work.
Yeah. So then you can test. And we've had people come in, they've had cancer before, they've had the cancer removed, they've been told they're all clear, they do scans, they get given the all clear, but when they come and do our germline, whole exome sequencing, somatic cancer screening, we find out that they're not technically cancer-free.
How long does that take, and what's the cost?
So the germline cancer test, the inherited cancers, is around 30,000 baht, and then for the somatic, it's more expensive. It's about 80,000 baht. But once you've done the germline, you'll never do it again because it's from family history. And then once you've done the somatic, you can do this every 10 years or something.
It's checking the whole system.
Yeah.
And then the cost to actually attack it.
Do the NK cell therapy, this is around 200,000 baht.
Yeah. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's interesting because this stuff is available out there, but different health organizations globally, I mean, they could easily fund this and make it much more affordable for the average person. It's very strange as to why they don't. We probably understand why. We won't go into that. But do you get a lot of patients coming in and testing this? Have you tested it yourself?
Yeah. I've just had my results. I'm all good so far. And it was the reason why it's interesting for me is there's cancer in my family. So we don't need to get into too much details, but my mum had cancer recently. And thank God she got the all clear. But it's also been through the family. So there was a high chance in my mind that maybe it's passed down through my family, and then we tested it and found out it isn't. And same with my partner, her father had cancer and his brother and family, so there was a strong chance that there was cancer in their family, and she tested and she didn't, which means it was brought on by lifestyle. So it just goes to show you can it's good to know. A lot of people just get scared, say, I don't want to know, don't tell me, I'd rather not know. But the earlier you know, if you do carry these genes, then it's like there's a high likelihood you really should start, putting in preventable measures. And if you don't have it, then okay, if I live a really healthy lifestyle, happy lifestyle, try not to stress and do all these things, then I might be able to
if you're
prevent it.
Screening often, I mean, you can at least prevent it. You don't want to go down that road of having to treat it with, I guess traditionally would be chemo, and it's just a nightmare. It's basically, let's kill everything. Yeah. Have you guys crossed paths with turkey tail at all in terms of cancer preventative?
No.
We're using this now. I used it on my dog, and it killed a tumor. It was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. It's
I really believe in these natural supplements.
The turkey tail, my dog had a little tumor on her spleen, and we give her 1 cap a day, and we took her back, and it was gone basically. It suppresses tumor growth. But the issue with turkey tail is places like Thailand, they don't want to approve it for obvious reasons.
Yeah, well, I think the best thing to do is just a healthy, happy lifestyle. Like start early, work out every day, remove processed foods, remove processed sugars, try and cut down on the alcohol and the smoking.
There's only so much you can do. I mean, go drive your motorbike around. You're going to inhale cadmium from the motorbikes around you. So I think we live in a world we're surrounded in pesticides no matter what. And when you have screen tests that can catch things earlier, that's probably your best way to prevent that. I mean, to live organically the best you can, it's almost impossible nowadays. There is no such thing as organic. Because I come from the world of supplements, and I just don't believe it. I mean, what does that mean? Organic what? Okay, these eggs are organic. Yeah, the eggs you gave to pass the organic test were organic, but what about the ones you sell? And there's just too many loopholes. So.
Yeah.
It's and especially everything in the air and the water. But these methods to screen and test, especially to catch this stuff before it appears, is probably your best method.
Yeah, well, I think it's the times changing. Like a lot of people like yourself are entrepreneurs, and you'll know how many views your last video did, or how many followers or subscribers you've got on YouTube, and you'll know about all these kind of data points and how much money you make. People are very, very good at keeping on top of their business, but when it comes to their body, they know very little. They have no idea what their HbA1c, their fasted blood sugar is, or they'll have no idea about these things. So I think people are starting to say, well, this is quite cool actually. Like I like knowing numbers. It's like a game. I like improving and
Well, I think the value of AI and Grok and ChatGPT is that you can do your blood work, listen to a doctor, and go get a second opinion from them, and it's very accurate. And let's say a couple years ago, whatever blood work you did or the doctor said, you pretty much have to just accept that because it's so complex. So okay, we probably went an hour and a half. See, easy peasy. Just before we wrap it up, I'm going to pass the big camera, the big lens, to Callum. We're going to put all the links down in the description of where they can find you for everything, all these services that you are offering, or even if they want to reach out for questions. Don't forget to leave us comments as well, because hopefully you'll be up in Hua Hin, and we can do another one up there, a follow-up.
When are you moving?
Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah, but
I've never been.
Yeah, neither have I. I've never been. I'll figure. The reality is, I mean, if I don't like it,
you just move back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not the end of the world.
No.
Okay, so we'll kick it to this camera there. Just let everyone know where they can find you and all your information. We'll put all those links down in the description. This big lens.
All right, guys. So the yacht charter agency is called Phuket Yacht Hire. We have an Instagram account. You can jump on there, send us a message. The same with the Thailand Butler for everything else to do with holiday and travel. And then when it comes to the Lifespan Center, it's Icellaré Phuket. Go Icellaré Phuket on Instagram, drop us a message. And if you come into Thailand and want to get to know your body a little bit more, just send us a message and you can come on in. Or if it's just something you're interested in and you want to see the lab and see how everything works, send Icellaré Phuket a message and they'll set everything up.
Perfect. See, now we know why Callum waited to come on. He was waiting till we had about 70,000 subs.
Is that what you got?
Yeah.
70,000 subs?
Yeah. This will get like 50,000 views.
Wow.
I think. Yeah, he waited. He's like, I'm not.
I waited until
I'm not on episode 1.
Last podcast of Phuket.
I want to maximize my views.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't forget, like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Leave some comments as well and what you thought about the podcast. Any questions for Callum? Obviously, I'll post it to him so he can jump in there and answer them, and I'll just troll you guys back and cause trouble. So, without that's it. Thanks for watching, and we're out.